Okay, so can somebody just clear the air for me right now? Is episode 9 just going to be my favorite episode every season? Because I'm starting to sense the pattern here. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, and yep, here we are, another installment of TV Thoughts. As always, I thank you all so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Season 2 of Game of Thrones is on the docket today. This video, otherwise known as my continuation of the biggest game of catch-up I've ever played in my life, or something like that. And this season pretty much picks up right where that intense ending to Season 1 left off. In the wake of King Robert Baratheon's death, and the news of the illegitimate bastard parentage of his heir Joffrey, who now sits on the Iron Throne, several lords across Westeros have taken the title of king and strive to unseat Joffrey, played by Jack Gleeson, in order to claim the Iron Throne for themselves. This includes, but not limited to, Joffrey's illegitimate brothers Stannis and Renly, as well as Robb Stark, played by Richard Madden, who's also seeking vengeance for his father's wrongful execution. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with this review because I really love Game of Thrones. I gave Season 1 my perfect grade, which is a rarity for TV series on my channel. And Season 2 obviously retains all of the excellent production values of last season. The direction for each episode, the costumes, the sets, the brutal action sequences. Everything just looks and feels like the essence of epic. And these characters also, once again, excellent performances across the board. But let's start with House Lannister. Lena Headey is once again fantastic as Cersei. I mean, she is just such a control freak. I hate this character, but I love her poise and her cunning in the role and how she approaches it. And we also gotta talk a little bit about Jack Gleeson as Joffrey, who is way much more of a coward than I gave him credit for. I really cannot wait to see Joffrey finally get some comeuppance, especially after completely shafting Sansa Stark in the finale. And Sansa is once again masterfully played by Sophie Turner. She is absolutely devastated for most of these episodes in this season, all because of how Joffrey has been... Oh god, she really does not deserve that. Of course, the only really likable Lannister, playing off of my last review of Game of Thrones, is Peter Dinklage as Tyrion. This season, I think he solidifies himself as my favorite character in this whole series. He is so funny, and he steals every single scene he's in. He starts off this season as the acting hand to King Joffrey, and he constantly is outwitting him and humiliating him, and it's teaching him lessons that he probably never learned growing up. And it sucks because all these lessons are probably falling on deaf ears because, you know, Joffrey is just the worst. But Tyrion is even getting things over on Cersei, which is not that... it's not that easy to do that in this series, apparently. I mean, he's doing things like blackmailing her secret lovers, which are just some of the sickest reveals I've ever seen. I honestly can never get enough of this character. Peter Dinklage is so great. He deserves all the Emmy nominations and wins that he got for this performance. And this season, we get to see him in action in big battles. Granted, he's more of a strategist, but he also kind of has to step into the role of leader in the epic Battle of Blackwater in episode 9, and he is so great at it. Like I said, I feel like everything Peter Dinklage touches in this series just turns to gold. I cannot wait to see where this character goes from here. Now, Jaime Lannister is not as prominent this season as he was in the premiere season. He's mostly playing captive to Robb Stark, who's excellently played by Richard Madden here. Seriously, I feel like Robb may be the most likable character out of everybody. And he has a pretty eventful season 2 in his own right. He gets married to this really nice girl in his camp, and he's proclaimed King of the North. And he's keeping Jaime there for most of this season as his captive. And Jaime does get a couple of really sweet monologues thrown in there, but all in all, just wasn't as productive or eventful of a season for him as it was the first time. Now, I've mentioned Robb and I've mentioned Sansa already from House Stark, but I want to talk a little bit about Arya, played by Maisie Williams, because she is so so good in season 2. She has a really fun storyline here of trying to maintain her disguise as a boy to varying degrees of success, and it gets super white-knuckled at a lot of points. And that's especially when she comes across Tywin Lannister, played by the masterful Charles Dance. I mean, man, this guy is just so good at what he does. And Tywin is so regal, probably one of the more level-headed Lannisters you'll see. He still has that cunning of a Lannister, but whenever he talks, he makes sure that you listen. Charles Dance just has a way of drawing us into this character. He is just so good here. Emilia Clarke as Daenerys once again is excellent. She was actually pretty quiet this season. Her main story arc sees her going to this town called Qarth in search of allies and ships for her to take back the Iron Throne. And this season does feel very much like a rebuilding phase for this character. She is still a rock-solid member of this ensemble, and especially after what she goes through in that mind of a finale, man oh man. And lastly, I saved this character for last because I gave this character kind of, I don't want to say hate, but I did have some things to say about Jon Snow in my last video. I didn't really find him all that interesting in season 1. Well, season 2, him doing his thing actually on the Night's Watch, my opinion turned a complete 180. I am completely behind Jon Snow now. Kit Harington is, once again, excellent. He just gets Jon Snow and all of his little personality traits, and he plays all of them to perfection. The things he goes through this season are really important to his character. I'm feeling they're going to be important to his character, especially as the seasons go on. He doesn't get a lot of super consequential big action sequences in season 2, but again, I'm assuming that changes as the seasons go on. While I'm on the subject of the Night's Watch, let's talk about this cliffhanger ending season 2 had. Very strange. Big spoiler ahead, by the way, just in case you haven't seen this. It's basically showing us what's behind the wall and why the Night's Watch is even here. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when I saw those things, I was really confused. I took one look at those things and I was like, so there's zombies in this series now? I mean, color me interested to see what they do with them. I am all for a big horde of undead things going after everybody. And I'm assuming these things come into play later, but these things are just really neat. The CGI on these things, incredibly convincing, and how they meld with the blizzardy background just makes for some really euphoric imagery. You can tell I really enjoyed season 2, but I don't think it's a perfect season of Game of Thrones by any stretch. I really do commend these writers for further establishing who all these characters are this season, as well as expanding on their motivations, objectives, and desires. I am all for that, but I felt this season very similar to how I feel about the books. There are some characters who I feel like are getting way more development than they should be, because just as you're getting into these people and what their objectives are, there they go, you know, another one bites the dust. Renly. Also, I may get a lot of flack for this in the comments, but this is just my opinion. This is just what I saw this season. A lot of these episodes, to me, felt like they were setting up something way more epic down the line. And trust me, I am all for extra character development, and some additional exposition if the story allows for it, and if it flows naturally into the writing. And again, it looks and all feels so epic. But the biggest thing that happened in season 2, I think, was the Battle of Blackwater, which was so awesome. I loved the green fire blowing up Stannis' whole fleet, or so we thought. But aside from Tyrion getting that big giant scar on his face, there's nothing really consequential or catastrophic that really happens here. It just felt like, you know, it was another big action sequence to end a big movie. Not to say it wasn't awesome, because it absolutely was, and Game of Thrones Season 2 is awesome and epic in every sense of the word. It is still a damn strong season. I cannot wait to continue this binge. I'm giving season 2 an A. In my opinion, the first season was better, but this is still a perfectly fine installment for the series. Peter Dinklage once again is stealing the show as Tyrion. Lots of really neat character development. I can't wait to see what happens in season 3. But what do you guys think? Do you guys watch Game of Thrones? Do you enjoy it? Do you not? Who is your favorite character in the series? I would love to hear all of those thoughts and then some down in the comment section below. If you guys are enjoying this content, and if if you guys want a place to continue discussing cinema and all things entertainment, this channel is probably the one for you. So please consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can if you're new here, because you guys will be the first ones to know anytime I upload a new video over here. And also, don't tell anybody this, but it is free. If you enjoyed the video also, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up on your way out. I'd really appreciate that. And as always, look out for more exciting content hitting this channel very, very soon. You guys are awesome. With all that being said, back talk, commence.